If you live in your car, this is the moment you never want. This is how I think about where I sleep so that the knock is way less likely.
Hi, I'm Jason. In 2024, I gave up the idea of a normal life. I bought a Prius, ripped all the seats out, and I moved in. Since then, I've been traveling, working when I need to, sleeping where I can, and just learning as I go. This is me figuring it out, one day at a time. One of the biggest challenges of this lifestyle is finding somewhere to sleep every single night. At first, I used iOverlander like everybody else. I started to realize that most spots on there are outdated, overused, and a lot of them are just burned. I leaned on spots that were obvious a lot of the time, mostly because I just didn't know any better. Spots like truck stops. Truck stops are pretty handy. They're noisy, but you have a very low chance of getting kicked out of truck stops. Hotels, I would suggest hotels that are on like the middle tier, like Holiday Inn or something like that. You don't want to stay at a hotel that's like a 5-star hotel. Most of those will have security, and it's just a headache you don't want. Rest stops, I feel like rest stops would have been higher on the list, but more and more rest stops I see are starting to have signs of limiting parking. And I feel like it's because people are living there. You know, they weren't designed to live there. They were designed to stop on a travel, stay overnight. But because of the people living there, it's hindering people from even staying there overnight. Hospitals, specifically like an emergency room, they usually do have security, but there's people coming and going all night, staff all night. So it can work if you need it to. Some businesses that I've come across that I feel like allow overnight camping in some situations. Number one is Cracker Barrel. Pretty much every Cracker Barrel I've ever been to has had overnight campers, and they're generally pretty okay with it. Home Depot's the second one. They're a little bit more hit or miss than Cracker Barrel, but Home Depot, for whatever reason, I have felt a little bit more comfortable at. A little bit less so is Lowe's, kind of the same idea, but it doesn't seem as friendly. And also some Costco's and some Sam's Clubs, I've seen, RVs and stuff like that there. I feel like that it could be allowed, but I think that's kind of the one that I would avoid in this list if you can, because I don't think it's widely accepted that it's okay at these places. Another place that can work is like a bar or like a gaming club. I'm in Vegas right now, so specifically in Vegas, like the Dotties and like the Lodge, like stuff like that. That's like a 24-hour bar slash gaming casino. Those places can work. They have people coming and going all night. They usually thin out pretty heavily in the middle of the night, but also stuff like a bar. It's not weird for someone to go there and get drunk and have to get an Uber home. So a lot of the time there is just random cars throughout the parking lot. These are kind of more specifically if you're living in a car like me or something that's not like a Sprinter van. Sprinter vans is just going to stick out at a place like this. And in the same vein, we have just casinos. Casinos are a little bit better, usually have bigger parking lots, but casinos also do have security. So you have to be careful of that. Another one I'll add on the list is Walmart. I try to stay away from Walmarts at this point. It used to be like the best place to sleep overnight and pretty much widely accepted that it was okay. But because of that, it's turned into a place where people live and now they're starting to crack down. There's specific Walmarts I've been to that I've just sat there like eating after I went to the grocery and just watched them like kicking people out. So I don't ever stay at Walmart, but I know of some other content creators that do this that do stay at Walmart every night. So it's really area specific. A lot of these are area specific. You know, some Walmarts are in a good area and have no security, and some Walmarts are heavily patrolled. So it really just depends. And then lastly, anything that is 24 hours or has employees that work overnight. Grocery stores can work. They have like overnight stockers, so you can kind of blend in with the people that work there as cars. Gyms kind of fit into this as well. Most gyms are 24 hours. I've had bad experience with gyms, especially Planet Fitness. I know a lot of people that do this tend to stay at Planet Fitness a lot of the time, but when I started and I was staying at Planet Fitnesses every now and again, I was constantly seeing people get kicked out. I never did get kicked out of a Planet Fitness. And in Denver one time, I was sleeping overnight and a bunch of cops came and kicked everyone out. But for whatever reason, they didn't bother me. I think it had a lot to do with I was parked closer to the door of Planet Fitness. So I kind of did look like I was either an employee or someone that was actually in there because they went to like the edge of the parking lot and kicked out like all the people that were just kind of by themselves. So, but for whatever reason, they didn't bother me. But that was the last night I've ever slept at a Planet Fitness because there's so many good spots. Like, why would you stay somewhere that you have a chance of getting kicked out? It just didn't make sense. So I never did it again. Most of these is just like the general list of places that people sleep. A lot of them are not good, and I hardly use any of them these days, to be honest. I just really get way too much anxiety sleeping in a place where I might get kicked out. So I've kind of adapted my style to places that I feel comfortable, which I think most people do eventually. These days, pretty much the only time I use any of these spots is if I'm in a new city that I don't know and I get in like late at night and I'm tired, I will just revert back to usually I either do a truck stop, like rest stop on the edge of town, if it's just for one night. I prefer truck stops, just I worry less there. Hotels are one that I fall back on if there's, no truck stops, which some little towns don't have any truck stops. I will find like a Holiday Inn or a Hampton Inn or something like that and just stay there for one night. Or Cracker Barrel Home Depot. Most towns have a Cracker Barrel. Most towns have a Home Depot, and those can be good for one night. Those two in particular, I feel like are the most accepting of just staying there one night. And the rest of the list at this point, I don't even really consider. I've been doing this for about a year and a half now, and the only place I've ever got kicked out of was a casino. But in reality, it was kind of a test I was doing to see how long I could blend in because I stayed at the casino every night for like almost a month. It was like right below a month. It was like 25, 26 days, I think. And eventually I got the knock to get out. I still feel like I could stay at a casino if I wanted to for one night. They just think you went in and got some drinks and got an Uber home. But when you start to overstay your welcome, you start to get noticed. And that's kind of what I was testing about how long would it take somebody to notice, hey, this same car has been parked here every single night for the past 3 weeks. And turns out it was about 3 weeks. Over time, doing this, I realized that gig work is kind of the perfect transition into finding places to sleep. I stopped trying to find spots and I just started noticing them. When you're out doing gig work, especially on like the dinner shift. You're out at the exact times that people are coming in, settling in for the night. And I started to just notice patterns. Streets where cars don't move, areas near parks or apartments where nobody's just paying attention at all, and you can very easily blend in. Places that aren't sketchy, places that aren't monitored. I didn't really plan this, it just started to happen naturally. You know, spots that look a lot like this. The spot right here, both sides has parking. That side's like houses, apartments, and then on this side you got a park with like baseball field. It's flat. It's dark too, which is nice. It's in a nice area. There is a street sweeper parking sign up here, but it's just Wednesday 4-hour block. When I came here last night, there was so much free parking. I mean, you can see from that car all the way to that truck. Like, you can park all down there. There is some foot traffic on this path right here. I heard people walking by, but I'm so stealth that I don't really even care. Unless I'm in the car with lights on and my window covers down, you can't see in my car what I'm doing. Right here is exactly where I parked last night. I just parked in the same spot. There's me. But yeah, you can see, like, look how dark my tent is. Like, somebody just walking by here, you can't see nothing. You can see in my front window, but I put my cover up that's black, so it just kind of blends in with everything. I'm gonna walk over to the other side and kind of check that spot out for me, because I want to see. It'd be nice to add a couple spots to the rotation that are all next to here. I'm on the other side of the buildings. The road I slept at's over there. This area, I wouldn't park here. I'll show you why. This is pretty much the same, except there's just houses on both sides. I just wouldn't park in front of a house if you don't have to. There's just no point. People get protective of their homes, as they should. Some crazy guy just sleeping outside their front door is kind of weird. Although I'm not crazy, but they don't know that. But this spot right here, this is like I guess a community pool. These spots right here are dope because they're next to the pool. And then right here, they're not across the street from any houses either. Although there is a lot of Sprinter vans around here, I think most of these are probably people that live in these houses. They just kind of feel that way to me. And another thing is this spot, this whole neighborhood, there's nothing on iOverlander. I checked. And that usually turns out better spots for me, because I don't have to worry about people traveling through and parking here all the time, because people that travel just use iOverlander. You know, if a spot's on iOverlander, it's only a matter of time before it gets burned, because people stay there every night. It's a constant rotation of people traveling in without estate plates like me, and it just creates attention, and those spots get shut down. So a place like this will inevitably have less traffic, which means people aren't looking for it as much, which helps you blend in. And if you're in a Prius, people don't give you a second look. All this, all the way up, all the way up to there is free reign. Out of everywhere to sleep, places like this are my absolute favorite. As someone in a Prius who can stealth, like next to houses, apartments, but across the street next to a park is specifically what I'm talking about. The best spots, if they don't have signs. Some parks have trouble with people living there, so they put signs up for no parking, but this seems to be not there yet. And one key thing for that is it's not on iOverlander, so it's not abused.
Anytime I find a spot that feels solid, even during the day, I drop a pin on that location on Google Maps. Over time, that turns into a map of places I trust, my own personal iOverlander. So I'm not starting from scratch every night.
I'm not really looking for a spot on the map. I'm looking for clues. Most of the time, parks like this end up being the anchor. When I find one that looks like this, I usually just head over there, check it out, and make sure there's street parking, there's apartments or duplexes. Then I just check for signs. Are there no parking signs? Are there no camping signs? Are there street sweeper signs? Are there painted curbs? You know, check out a good area for a spot that looks good during the daytime, and then drop that pin. I always try to live by the rule of in late, out early. If you follow this, you will most likely go unnoticed. But the most important thing about all this, you need tent. Get dark tent. You save so much money doing this lifestyle that you need to spend the $400 or $500 to tint your windows, and it will just make your life 1,000 times easier. So get them tinted.
This looks good for the night.